We'd come to this system as our supplies were running out, and hydroponics contingencies meant to push us further had failed. This world, which we called Tellus, Earth in Latin, was our last hope. This was the place we had to settle. However, as we aligned our flight path for a landing, a warship dropped out from a gas giant's gravity well and broadcast a message that this was consortium territory. They demanded that we leave, at least showing more gusto than prey races back home. I don't like those fuckers, but they aren't scared of their own shadow. If anything, the Krev are emotionless, and all business, they've never seemed interested in sharing any details about themselves either. Knowing how every alien we'd encountered back in the Orion Arm had reacted, we knew we couldn't let any other race know what we were. Predators. It would have been our preference not to speak to any aliens at all. But our quick-thinking captain had covered her face with scarves, looking something like a mummy on the call. She pleaded for the Krev to let us land, noting that our supplies were out and that thousands of settlers would die without the planet. Our ship's language models interfaced during the hail and allowed translator implants on both ends to facilitate communication. It was after a prolonged discussion that the consortium struck the bargain I was carrying out now. They'd allow us to colonize the world in exchange for a cut of the raw materials unearthed during our efforts. We didn't exactly have a choice. We were desperate and not in a position to bargain out the terms. Our efforts went to building our city infrastructure underground, beneath the concealment of overhead soil. This was the only place that we could show our face. Up on the surface, full disguises were required to avoid our predatory features being spotted through satellite imaging. The security guards locked the clasp on our inner cloth helmet, which looked something like a fencing mask, and that ensured nobody could get the reckless idea to remove it once they got up there. I'd had to put on the full garb now before the elevator was unsealed. Well, let's hope for the best. I get the sense they already want us. Krev seemed to have a stick up their ass lately, with their snide comments about our secrecy. I yawned as we strolled past lit interiors, carved into the sides of the cavern, and past several tired people through the cobblestone street. The subterranean metro was visible beyond the elevator's sealed gates. It's not like they're forthcoming themselves. Cherise stopped me with a hand, placing the cloth mask over my head and turning the key. You know the drill, Taylor. Time to be Mr. Cordiality. Charm the shit out. If anyone can buy us time, it'll be done. Let's get this over with. I unslung the secondary cloth from my shoulder and wrapped it around my forehead and chin for further concealment. Cherise shot a thumbs up at the control room, who watched up on the balcony. There was a buzzing noise as the gate sealing the elevator came undone. I called the lift and shuffled inside as the doors chimed open. My security escort tailed behind me, tapping her fingers on the ascent button. I listened to the whirring noise of the gears as we ascended up through the place of residence we'd carved out. Above ground wasn't populated by many personnel, aside from the handful of top-world farmers and the militia people working with starships. I raised a hand in politeness as I passed a group of service technicians who were tinkering with the gunship's engines. Some days I wish they'd fire up the guns, charge the incoming rent collector, and tell the Krev where to get off. A scowl creased my face beneath the mask as I saw the alien ship touching down on our landing pad. Cherise and I quickened our strides to ensure we were hovering by the alien ship as soon as they'd disembarked. Gress, who'd been the Krev's rent collector for the past few years, strolled down the ramp with his usual unfriendly expression. His dark green scales brightened beneath the glow from the star, something we'd guessed meant they evolved in the jungle. Gress's lengthy tail curled with distaste, and his tongue flitted with impatience. I found the quirky mammals a bit reminiscent of pangolins from Earth. That was what they were called, right? I wasn't too stellar with knowing things from home, our true home. Gress, how are you doing? I gushed, with fake enthusiasm. The Krev sighed, a bored look on his face. Taylor, is it? It's difficult to recognize you, with you hiding beneath those masks. It's not polite to insult our way of life and our culture. You know we're a private people. That's one thing to call you. I suppose we should know better than to ask you to answer basic questions about yourself. We still don't know who we're dealing with. Your attitude doesn't seem in the interests of partnership, Gress. You've benefited from our toiling immensely. I just, I swear I remember that this arrangement was supposed to be temporary. It's starting to seem like it's anything but. Don't you think it's harsh to ask us to pack up and leave overnight? Whatever you think of our ways, humans haven't undermined or harmed you in any way. We have the utmost gratitude for how you've allowed our settlers to make a life for themselves. Why ruin a good thing for us both? Gress pawed at the ground, scowling. I'd like to be anywhere but here, so let's get a move on it. I don't see the crates ready to load onto the cargo hold. Have you forgotten what day it is? Of course not. Look, you know that we've never missed any of our days before, which is another reason you should value how we honor our deals. I'm afraid that we've experienced a setback in our mining efforts, and we need a bit of extra time. Let me get this straight. You people let me land with zero forewarning, then tell me you don't have what I traveled hours to collect. What's owed to us for our land? I'd like to offer sincere apologies on behalf of humanity. Truly, we are a hardworking people, and I'm humiliated to say we've missed our deadlines. This is a rarity, an anomaly. But in the spirit of a reasonable response, perhaps we can come to an agreement. All we need is a few days, and we can tack on a little extra to make it worth the additional trip. Please, Gress, tell me what the reason is for this delay, and I will consider it. I hesitated, unsure how much Mayor Hathaway would want me to divulge to the Krev. The only way to ever get promoted away from this detail, perhaps to a leadership role in recognition of my silver tongue, was to stay on the head honcho's good side. This alien probably wouldn't be understanding about a strike due to our laborers resenting the very payments he was here to collect. We were going to have to work overtime just to get enough to pass along to him in a few days. I wasn't sure I could fulfill the extra, but I'd needed to throw in something. I needed to sell him a line of total bullshit, since at least these Xenos didn't seem entirely devoid of sympathy. Whatever it takes to make Gress go for it, I'll go over to the mines myself and make sure it's delivered. We can't fight them, and we can't leave everything we've got left behind us. I truly hate this, but it gives humanity a chance. We had to replace a lot of our equipment due to safety concerns, and the overhauls took longer than expected. Computer glitches here and there, I fibbed. 3 days should be plenty of time for us to get back to our normal production. How much will it take to right this wrong, Gress? I don't want you feeling cheated or put off. The Krev squinted at me for several seconds. You don't have any materials in surplus to give us now? Not the standard materials we give you, but if there's something else you want, maybe we can hand over something now.